Always wait, folks. You never know when this thing pops into existence, huh? Hey, everybody. Welcome to the bottom line. I'm Michael Noland. Tonight, we're going to be discussing Bruce Springsteen, Limousine Warrior, The Mouth That Roars. But before we get into that, I wanted to get right down to some channel business as people are filtering in every stream where we get super thanks from you kind folks. I always give a shout out from the stream previously. All right. So in our previous stream, we got super thanks from Overheim, $10. By the way, Kimberly tells me you're saving up for something special, Overheim. Go for it, brother. I hear you. Times are tough, but thanks for your support. And the important thing is you're out there watching. That's the key thing. That's the solid line of defense or offense for this channel. After all, if you weren't there, if we didn't have viewers, we'd be in a whole lot of trouble. All right. And this is a good time to ask everybody to give me a thumbs up. All right. If you don't mind, if we get 50, that'll bump it up. And if that ever happened during the live stream, it'll even bump up the live stream. All right. And every 50 after that just gives it another bump and it helps with channel growth. All right. And then we got a $50 super thanks from Storm Cop, of course, and Ben Scheidecker in with $2. We've talked about the importance of a $2 super thanks. They add up. Thank you so much. I'm just as grateful for those as the larger donations. Speaking of which, Bill Hawkins came in with another $50 super thanks with Melissa Boomer of the Night with a $5 super thanks. She also joined and is now a tribal elder. Deuces Wild came in with two $5 super thanks for a total of 10. Michael Boswell gave us a $2 and a $5 super thanks for 7. Thank you, Michael. And Ben Scheidecker with a $5 super thanks. All right. I appreciate all of your support. Another channel announcement. We just reached 44,900 on my last stream just days ago. I told you we were 67 away from that number. We're now there. We're less. I see that. I am going to check you out. Dan the man is in the house. All right. With a $10 super thanks. I'll get to you real quick, brother. I just wanted to tell everybody we are now less than 100 away from the coveted 45,000 subscriber level. I can't believe we're actually closing in on that number. Of course, when that happens, guess what happens, baby? We set our sights, right? I'll do my Gollum, but we'll set our sights on the even larger 50,000, but we got to get to the 45,000. So all I can say, I've said it before, tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a tubby, I don't care. Whatever, whoever you tell, ask them, hit that subscribe to the tribe button, tap that top bell icon, and you'll be notified of all his future videos. All right. Okay. So another thing, Dan just gave us a super thanks, and I wanted to talk about that right now. Let me get down here and acknowledge this. I hear some big things coming to your channel, my man. Yeah, we talked about that on my last stream. What's it all about, folks? Oh, the best way to find out is to get on over to Just the Facts Man, hit that subscribe to the tribe. He's tribal, baby. And then tap that top bell icon. And I guarantee you're going to probably be happy because there's some exciting stuff happening there. I hear through the grapevine. But he says, good evening, all. A good night to be with the tribe. I agree, Dan. Thank you. Now, if we get two more, I will stream tomorrow. I noticed a couple of you in there saying, hey, what happened to the Led Zeppelin stream, man? Some loudmouth took over the Led Zeppelin stream. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. For those of you who, kind of closely monitor the channel, you'll notice that I had online dissecting Led Zeppelin. as my topic tonight, or dissecting becoming Led Zeppelin. I have been going through that movie ever since I bought it, and I am just draining it from knowledge, and I've got a lot to say about it. I'm sure you guys do too. We get two more. I'll stream that tomorrow at 5. If not, it'll be on my next stream, either Wednesday or Thursday. Okay, folks? All right, so let me make sure I've got everybody taken care of here. Yeah, I think so. By the way, I want to thank everybody who's been subscribing. If you're here tonight for the first time and you subscribe because of my latest video, I'm Michael Noland. The bottom line is the name of the channel. That means you get my bottom line, folks. But the real bottom line, every time I say this, is what you find folks are typing right now in the comments and in comments on my regular video. The tribal forum is when I get to hang out with you guys live, right? My regular videos, I go in, I edit them, I color correct them, I even enhance sound on them. Here, you've got it raw, right? And this is where the tribe really comes alive, in my opinion. And I've been doing this since January 18th. Okay. Now, I also noticed tonight that we had a couple of people who have said sayonara to the tribe. And of course, my hearts go out to, well, one of you anyway. All right. I'm talking about Richard Mueller. Richard, my thoughts and prayers go out to you. I'm sorry that you no longer feel like you want to be a part of this whole thing. I'm gonna miss you, brother. He's been with me a long time, but thoughts and prayers go out to you. And as far as a certain Aaron, screen door and all that, brother, that's all I can say. All right. So here's the reason why we're not doing Led Zeppelin tonight. First of all, as I got more and more into this movie, I see something coming up on screen here. Did I just see something come up on screen, Kimberly? Ah, Storm Cop with the $10 super thanks. He goes, the Tribal Forum rocks. Okay. A $10 endorsement just on the idea of the Tribal Forum. Yeah, she just woke up to that, brother. She just woke up. Forum. Did I say forum? I must have said forum. It sounded like I said forum. Forum, right? Okay. Which gets me down to my basic thing, because you know what? The reason we're not doing the Led Zeppelin deal is it's way too big to do in a single hour. Okay, so I am going one more super thanks, and we'll be going live tomorrow evening at 5. That's on West Coast time. I'm here in the Central Valley of California, USA, and I know that the tribe is worldwide, so adjust your time zones accordingly. But 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, if we get that one. If not, it'll come up on Wednesday or Thursday. It's just too big of a subject to talk about. And of course, Bruce Springsteen just released a brand new free EP. All right. Now, first of all, I want it fully understood. I always have to say this, don't I? I'm a Bruce Springsteen fan. I've loved Bruce Springsteen for decades, bought his albums. I knew his politics. Oh, I knew his politics is where I left off. All right, let me get this. Deuces Wild is in with $10. Wow. Thanks, Deuce. Happy Memorial Day to you and Kim, also to the tribe. Love that shirt, Michael. Well, you know what? This is the shirt that I thought would be a little appropriate, for tonight's discussion. Freedom of speech, the American way, right? And more so than this is about Bruce Springsteen tonight, this is about a bigger situation. And I wanted to clarify some of my thoughts on it. And if I've got time, I'm going to get to as many of you as possible. We're running about 11 minutes after. I'm doing well. Okay, so first of all, Bruce Springsteen, he has just released a brand new EP. Now, I've listened to it mainly so you don't have to, right? And it's free. It's free online. I would imagine it's on Spotify. I don't have Spotify, but I do have Apple Music, and it's available to me. I did some typing in. How much is this going to cost? And no, it's free. It's free, right? It's not going to cost you a pretty penny, in fact. And so everything seems to be coming up roses when we're talking about that, if you think about it. Let me get back to my notes here. Um, let's go. As a matter of fact, that's where I want to get to is the article that talks about this. Because that'll lead us into where I want to talk about. This is UCR. It's a UCR article. I'm just going to read the first couple of paragraphs here, I think. Bruce Springsteen has Rush released a four-song.
Ben just gave us a super thing.
Oh, did he? Well, hold on a second, Ben. Let me switch on over there.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, good Lord. What happened to my screen here, darling? Your iPad is all shot to hell.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's all for. Okay. Oh, there we go. Come on. It's behaving like grandma.
Oh, no.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, don't talk about grandma.
Ben Scheidecker, $5. Okay, we're live tomorrow. We're live tomorrow, and we'll be dissecting Becoming Led Zeppelin. Ben, you made it happen, and so did Dan and Stormcop. All brought to you by those fine gentlemen. Thank you so much. Let's see what he has to say here. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Thanks to all who made the ultimate sacrifice and served for our country. Freaking men, right? And I've even said that includes the young men who didn't want to go, who were drafted. Hey, they did their duty. And first responders, nurses. I'm a nurse, or used to be, right? Doctors, firemen, the armed services, man, the front lines of this country. I love y'all. Any of you who have served in those capacities, amen to every freaking one of you. That's all I can say. You guys are heroes to me. All right. So I'm going to get back to this article here if it'll behave. Okay, there it goes. So the article says this. Bruce Springsteen has Rush released a four-song EP from his much discussed May 14th performance in Manchester, England, as the E Street Band's European tour continues. He announced a new name for the trek on stage that night, the Land of Hope and Dreams tour. And this new release shares, oh, amazingly so, the same title. The mighty E Street Band is here tonight to call upon the righteous power of art, of music, of rock and roll in dangerous times, Springsteen said before launching into the set. Land of Hope and Dreams includes the title track. The Land of Hope and Dreams includes the title track, Long Walk Home, My City of Ruins, and Springsteen's cover of Dylan's Chimes of Freedom. Okay, and he slips in and out with there and hints of another song too, by the way. Now, as far as the performance goes, what do I think of it? Wow, solid. His voice isn't as powerful as it used to be, but it's not bad at all. He actually sounds pretty good in rare form. The band sounds absolutely fantastic. Sure would have loved to have gone and seen that concert. Except I don't feel welcomed. That's the problem. All right. Now, here's another thing. The EP is selling free. Now, because I thought, hey, if this is a moneymaker on top of what comes with this EP, that's gonna, you're gonna be a chump if you're guilty of that, right? But no, the EP is available free of charge. There's just no doubt about that. I looked it up. I mean, maybe they'll change their minds down the road, but as far as I can tell, it's certainly free of charge. The renaming of the tour around it, right, and everything. So he's not making any money on this EP at all. Is he? Is he? Everybody see that? Land of Hope and Dreams tour, right? That t-shirt will cost you $50. So to me, when I think of this and how it's being presented, it's interesting. There's still a buck in it for the billionaire. All right. Now, I also wanted to get back to covering, let's see, where did my notes go? There they are. Get back to you fine folks while I'm doing it all at once. I wanted to cover a quote by Bruce Springsteen that I covered in my last stream. But if you weren't there for the whole stream, it happens really deep in the stream when I covered this. So a lot of you may not have even seen that portion. And for those of you who did, it's just a reiteration of where I'm coming from here. Now, this quote comes from Mike Zero's channel. Mike Zero, he's coming up to close to uh, a half a million subscribers, so he's a big channel. And he claims this is a quote from Bruce Springsteen. I covered it in my last stream. Here it is. Quote, to all my supporters out there that decided to bow down to this king, to this dictator that doesn't provide any freedom of speech in America, I say shame on you. Shame on you. He says it twice. You are obviously misplaced and need to educate yourselves on what it is to be an American. Unquote. End quote. Whatever quote. Right? Okay, so with all of that in mind, see, I have now with keep all of that kind of off to the back burner and let's get back to this whole idea of freedom of speech because right now I'll bet you I'm pissing off people bringing this stuff up. This has been dicey, as you guys know in the comments. Okay, I don't want to talk politics on this channel. I don't want to take either side. I've said this time and time and time again until I'm blue in the face. I trust each and every one of you to make solid decisions in your own lives, that you're all intelligent enough and you have experienced your life from where you have lived to make up your own damn minds as to whether you're conservative, liberal, somewhere in between, somewhere out of the realms. It doesn't matter how you see yourselves. You are valid. Your point of view is valid, in my humble opinion. Okay? A lot of people are getting angry saying, God, that Noland, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Why protests and politics have been in rock and roll from the very beginning. Oh, you're absolutely right, it has. Before that, you know, I mean, you got to get back into the protest songs of the whole acoustic movement that moved into New York and all of that, right? So politics isn't new, and I'm not against freedom of speech. Matter of fact, I am a firm uh, proponent of freedom of speech in rock and roll. I've made that clear until I'm blue in the face. I'll say it again. Freedom of speech in rock and roll must be maintained. Okay? It is the backbone of a consciousness that we have all experienced, right? Here's where freedom of speech in rock and roll may not be a good place to use, and that is in a paid venue. All right. And it comes from just common sense. Any artist must have enough common sense that they appeal to people both on the left and the right. And that if they're a right winged artist, they don't want to isolate, or they shouldn't want to isolate their left wing audience. And vice versa goes, right? But when you are talking like Bruce Springsteen did just here, and how he talks on this new EP, you go, he talks? I thought this was a mini album. Yeah, No, it's not. First of all, you've got a minute and 40-second intro of Bruce, you know, laying it on the line, just like you just heard here, different words and everything. All right. And then uh, on the intro to I think it's the last song, he spends 3 minutes and 40 seconds, or 3 minutes and 30 seconds, I think, telling us all about how the world should be, who's wrong in the world, and everything else. So it's a good thing he's not asking for a dime for this. All right. But see, this is an automatic response. This is a weaponization of rock and roll, in my opinion, and utilizing the recording of an audience that did not have a clue that he was going to come off here. And then what about Bruce changing the whole tune? This is him. You know, he did a response there. Oh, and another thing, take a look at the photos of when he's giving his speech to the audience. At his foot, and you can watch him, he drops his head every time, is a teleprompter. This isn't like, oh, this is from my heart. He comes out that way, you know. Yeah, this is from my heart, man. Trump sucks. Half the United States don't know what the fuck they're doing. That kind of thing, right? But he talks like that, but he's going down, getting his next line, right? Okay, and then he switches everything at the last minute and renames this tour complete with merchandise and a mini album, an EP, for God's sake. Now, that also brings up another thing. Did we get another one here? No. Okay, good. My thing went flicking and went to Ben's there. I just didn't want to ignore you. That's all. But here we've got this guy. He's reinvented himself at the speed of sound, man. And it's all reaction and stuff. And he's got the merch. He's got everything. And then everybody wonders why we can't get new material. The quickest you'd ever get a live album response, out to the public would have been a year minimum or close to it if they really rushed it. This was done within days, folks, within days. Let me check here. I got there. All right. Oh, now I've done some criticizing of other artists lately, haven't I? Let me make sure I can get down to here. Make sure I've got the right one. And there it is. Good. And one of the people I've criticized quite harshly lately has been Pete Townshend in my last video, right? Some of you may be over here from that last video. And just when I had given up hope on the guy. Now, first of all, Pete Townshend is a hero of mine. I've already said this in past, but I can't take it for granted that everybody who's watching this stream watched my last one. He is a personal hero of mine in rock and roll. I am a major Who fan. He is one of my favorite songwriters in rock, just on his songwriting ability. But I don't like the way they've treated Zach Starkey, and I think that Roger Daltrey was behind the sacking, and that Pete Townshend was sent out to sound tough, and that's my criticism of him. And I was disappointed in him. I did a whole stream on how disappointed I am in some things happening here in 2025. But just before I've given up all hope, here comes Pete Townshend on his thoughts about Bruce Springsteen. Now, I also know that I piss off a lot of Bruce Springsteen fans. I've lost subscribers over it before, and that's fine. All right. But to be honest with you, by your response, folks, that I'm seeing on my channel, I think there's a lot more of you that follow this channel that are not such great Bruce Springsteen fans at all, or at least that portion of my viewers are the most vociferous, because I get tons of comments saying, A lot of things. We'll talk about that because I want to read this. It's just a one sentence blurb that Pete Townshend said about Bruce Springsteen. He said, he's a bit overrated to begin with. And that's what I get from you guys a lot. I get a lot of things. Oh, he's overrated from a ton of you folks. I don't believe that. I think he can be a genius, right? Uh, Not always, but he has come up with some. Oh man, I should do a video. Bruce Springsteen's good stuff. If I can find anybody to watch it these days. But he says he's a bit overrated to begin with. He's the kind of bloke who should just shut up and play. Okay, which has been my whole deal regarding this. Now, why am I covering this? And especially if you're new viewers and all of that, why am I covering this? Because I cover several things. But see, the channel, I'll do anything from an album review or a story that connects a band uh, or gives you more information. Probably the first 2 years I was doing my channel, that was kind of like the bulk of my content. Then I started as the channel grew, I was looking at stories to get ideas for videos. And I was still doing my Led Zeppelin videos. Matter of fact, this channel was established on Led Zeppelin even more than the Beatles, right? And I'd be getting that, but I'd notice these stories coming across, and I'd hear, oh, so and so said such and such about so and blob, right? And then you'd said, well, so and blob said he wasn't there that night, and then you'd go, oh, there's a lawsuit happening, and I'd watch these stories go, and I'm going, wait a minute, what is going on with rock and roll these days? First of all, it didn't escape my attention. Rock and roll's not getting a whole lot of radio airplay. The top artists are no longer rock and roll. That kind of hurt, right? And so I'm sitting here and I'm going, well, what's the thing? Well, of course, one of the very first videos that I put out that was of this ilk was against the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? Because I have a problem with how and what I think it's maiming rock and roll. And if you guys, we're not going to get into that tonight, but I've got tons of videos on that, right? It is corrupt. It's a corrupt organization. It no longer serves its purpose. It should be disbanded. We should just start all over again, as far as I'm concerned. But then there was the amount of prices that tickets cost. Then I found out people were using backing tracks and lip syncing. And then I found out those high prices kind of came from Ticketmaster. And I go, well, who is Ticketmaster? And I did a research. Oh, they're connected to Live Nation. Well, who's Live Nation? Well, they're connected to almost every venue on the planet. Two entities, by the way, that Bruce Springsteen has been in bed with many times, hasn't he? $8,000 per ticket to see him. I did a whole series of videos on that 2 years ago when he was touring, right? 8,000. I had just done a video complaining that Paul McCartney was charging $5,000 a ticket. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, out came an article I was just wondering how much was his tickets. And I looked them up and they were $8,000 a ticket to go see Bruce Springsteen, right? All right. So, and then I'm seeing no new material. Bruce has given us new material, except he hasn't. It's all old stuff, right? There's no new. See, I was a Bruce Springsteen fan because he's a great songwriter, right? But he's not doing great songwriting these days. He's putting out pop albums, oldies, just like you two and Bono. And did I take that photo? I sure did. Let's not forget who Bruce Springsteen is best buddies with, folks. Okay? Recognize that, Shorty? Say hello to Jan Winter, former editor-in-chief and really owner of Rolling Stone magazine and former CEO and head of the board of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The same Jan Winter who, in his memoirs or the book, when they were questioning him, because they were questioning him about his book and asking him, why aren't there any females in your book? Female rockers or any black rockers in your book? And he replied, well, that's because neither female or black rockers are very articulate. Misogynist and racist Jan Winter, who jets around with Bruce Springsteen. So, Bruce Springsteen, who is billionaire Bruce Springsteen, right? Now, I didn't see anything. It'd be cool. Actually, I should have looked into this. Now, it'd be cool if that T-shirt went to some, I don't know, black party, Black Panther party, or some, uh, worthy institution. If he gave all his proceeds to that, you know, but he's making a pretty penny off of this. Okay, this EP, he's making a pretty penny. And has anybody take a look at this? Take a look at the photo on the EP, folks. Let me see if did I get all of that? There you go. Oh God, goodness gracious! Look at that! Look at that! Oh, holy shades of Elmer Gantry! Right? The word, man, the word. By the way, he's looking down at his teleprompter. Okay? All right. All because he's read a few books, knows a few historical figures, quotes them like all the pop psychologists do these days, and alienates over half of the American voting public. Now, once again, if you agree with Bruce Springsteen's politics, more power to you. All right. And if you don't believe in him and you think Trump is the second coming, again, more power to you also. That's your business. That's not my business, right? You're smart enough to make up your mind about what you think the world should be. We all have that right, Maynard. Okay. So, but this holier than thou. I mean, this is almost as bad as what was it, Roger Waters? What was it? Pandemic tapes, where he's meandering about whoever was in power at the time, or that he did. Was it Trump? It probably was Trump again, right? But at least with Roger Waters, he's never. I don't think he's ever met a head of state he ever liked. You know. So I mean, he at least we talked about this in my last stream. He's his own man. Bruce Springsteen is so damn Hollywood. It is freaking ridiculous. Okay. What was it? Mike Avil, his former uh, uh, manager, producer, slash best friend and everything. He actually made the deal to get Bruce Springsteen on the covers of Newsweek and Time magazine at the same time. Later on, he produced him up right up until Born in the USA, and he was let go all of a sudden. And because Bruce wanted a more polished look, a sound, and he wanted him to stay that way. Which is interesting because right after that, Bruce did Nebraska, which is far from polished. And that would probably be my second favorite Bruce Springsteen album. Like I said, I've always been aware of Bruce's politics. I don't let that get into it because, it doesn't matter what your belief is. We all say something. And if you're real good at listening, the the general truth will always come through if you're good at listening. And often in his lyrics, when he waxed poetically, especially back then, you got to understand when Nebraska came out, God, he was only a decade, maybe maybe not even a decade into his career, as a superstar and everything. So it was easier to see him. He was already richer than shit. He wasn't billionaire or anything like that, but he was extremely rich, right? But it was easier to see him back then, knowing he was, newly wealthy, uh, and he still had a major portion of his life as an everyman. So even though he had been quite the thing for some time, when Born in the USA came out, right? Ghost of Tom Joad and all of that, all of those things. He was even Ghost, that was early 90s as memory serves. Even then, he's within a 20-year time period, and he still had more time on earth as an up and comer or a nobody as he did as being a somebody. But as the decades have ensued, it's been my dismal observation that he crawls up his own ass, just like I've seen Bono do it, another hero of mine, before he learned that he could open his mouth to do anything but sing. And I mean, there's a whole host of them. Now you're going Bruce Springsteen, uh, Bono. What is this? Some alt right rant? No, I brought up Ted Nugent. I can't stand him. Love his guitar work. I buy his albums. I buy Bruce Springsteen's albums. But I'm not going to go to a concert and listen to that asshole rant all day. Right? All right. It doesn't matter. I don't want to hear it. Now, one of these people, I probably have a overall proclivity to agree with more than disagree with. But it doesn't matter which one of those are. It doesn't matter which one of what my politics are. All right. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that, freedom of speech, does not mean yelling fire in a crowded theater. Now, I used that in my last uh, stream, didn't I? Well, and many of you may have thought, well, that's kind of a rough analogy because yelling fire in a crowded theater could kill somebody through a stampede, right? Just do it as a joke. We see YouTubers playing practical jokes, winding up getting 20 years because something serious happened from a stupid practical joke. And he used that, right? Well, is inciting a group of individuals to be able to or to inflame them to the point that violence may happen. All right, a lot of violence is happening right now in the United States. Do we want to push that beyond that? In other words, is Bruce Springsteen being responsible? I don't think he is. And you got to remember, now Bruce Springsteen has been alive as the multimillionaire, to say the least, and rising to a billionaire status at his height, which is now, longer than he was at any time an every man. All right. You go, yeah, but he's got his memories and everything. I can tell you, I've got my memories of being dirt poor when I grew up. I do. I do. But I don't experience that anymore. All right. And I'm not, we didn't, I don't have to open a can of green beans and serve that to my 4 kids like my mom did because dad's out drinking and we haven't got any money in there. Or my mom hawking her wedding ring to pick up some groceries. Not hawking it, but giving the grocer the wedding ring as collateral for credit. All right. It's been the vast majority of my life is not that. I have that memory, right? And it did help for me. So I'm not saying that Bruce Springsteen doesn't have still that portion in him. But when you think about the Titans he's taken on and where he thinks he is on that, and guess what side of the line he's on? He's on the same side that believe, rightly or wrongly, folks, okay, I'm not criticizing. He's on the same side that believes that it is time to fight the oligarchies. And we talked about what an oligarchy is on this show before, haven't we? An oligarchy is a government that's ruled by the few, first of all. But then when you get right down to it, it's by the famous or the financially powerful, the richest. It usually gets down to those two subgroups. All right. Again, rockers like Paul McCartney, Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, they are billionaires. That's the top 1% of the economy in the United States. And I've said this before, 99% of you have no clue what their life is like. 99% of you have, and I'm one of them, by the way, all of us probably who's watching this. What are the chances that a 1%er is watching this stream right now? So I'd even venture to say every damn one of us have not a clue about how easy it is for him to manifest his 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 mere wishes in his life. An example, I want an album out by Tuesday. T-shirts and everything, baby. I want this tour renamed. Oh yeah, Trump. Gearing up, putting on the battle gear. And the whole CD, like I said, the CD, the band is great. Like I said, I love the E Street Band. They're good. They're hot. His voice is still strong enough to carry on. I mean, if McCartney's voice was this well in repair, I'd be looking for tickets to see McCartney if I could afford it, right? The only reason I won't go see McCartney these days is because his voice is in such disrepair. I've paid to see him 3 times in my life, and he was phenomenal. And I don't want to see him in any less. It's not. I don't have the need to see him live over the fact of him putting on a good show. The reason I went to see Paul McCartney was he put on a good show. You know, there are 3 bands that I've seen that have put on what I consider the most perfect show, demonstration, and tightness, and you couldn't believe that you were there that night. All right. The first show I ever saw like that was Paul McCartney at the Cow Palace, 1976, Wings Over America, the classic Wings lineup. They were doing all the songs from Band on the Run, a few of the hits from the earlier albums, the big ones, and a whole lot of stuff from Venus and Mars, which I've said is as good an album as Band on the Run, easily. And the better stuff from Speed of Sound, not one of my favorite McCartney albums, but it had a couple of #1 hits. And that was the show. They did it so freaking well. They had the horn section. It was there, man. I think they had a 4-piece horn section, 5-member band. So you had 9 people producing stuff that you'd heard on the record. And while you were there, you just couldn't believe that it sounded that spot on. The next time that happened and it happened twice with the same band, but there's a third band I'm going to talk about, but was with Queen. Both times I saw Queen.
Oh, honey, you
Yeah.
just got sent 5 membership gifts from
Fabulous.
Storm Cop. Oh,
Storm Cop, thank you so much. You know what? I think we're going to need them.
Oh,
There's been dissension in the ranks. How come I'm not seeing that? Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is a good point.
wow.
Yeah, we got a little time here. This is a good point. Now, when they do this, it doesn't mean that you can push this. I can push this all day. It doesn't do me any good. What happens is when he purchases those, and you know what, five, that's as good as a $25 super thanks. Storm Cop, one of my oldest patrons, and uh, he had faith in me at a time period when earlier this year the channel was going through real tough times, and we just had. I don't even know if he knew how upset I was at the time, but he gave me some encouragement. I kind of told him, yeah, well, as if anybody's going to show, that kind of thing, and he was encouraging, saying, no, you don't understand. Hey, stay the course, man. And this is like a $25 super thanks. I thank you so much, Storm Cop. And Storm Cop's such a, there's Deuce is Wild. David L., it's good to see you in there. Deuce is Wild, uh, Oberheim, Storm Cop, Divining Dragon. I don't want to miss anybody. But there's, Doc Insomnia. Um, there's and a last couple of one, a new, relatively newbie, Tim Henry of Music Life, right? Has been coming in, Irger Splitten, aka Gear Jam. You guys come in, and many of those that I talked about. Ben Scheidegger's another one. See, if I look down here, Piccolina, it's good to see you, man. Come on, man. I'm here eating Grey Poupon. I, pardon, but do you have any? Yeah, I love that. Django Thunders, I haven't seen you in. Boy, Jeffrey Flint, how you doing, brother? Good to see you, longtime commenter. Eric Schultz, just had a exchange with you in a comment not too long ago. Eric, welcome. Royce in the house. By the way, I should have said this, but this is a good time. I've got a large portion of my audience here. Matter of fact, we've had almost a record-breaking audience tonight. Right after this stream, see, I'll make it worth your while, Royce. I promise. Right after this stream, uh, I'm going to be joining Royce. So I'm going to kick off here between 6 and 6:10 ish, right? Depending on what's going on. And on Sundays, I only stream for an hour, right? But the fun has just begun because actually I'm up for like these days 3.5 hours on stream because Royce's streams have been going longer and longer. You guys have been showing up in mass supporting him. Royce is my brother from another mother. All right. Royce and I met when I was a nobody. Matter of fact, my channel was much smaller than Royce's when I first typed in, and I was just making feelers. Oh, I'm a new content creator. I'll tell him how much I like his video. He did this video on the Haight Ashbury, and I loved it. Pip pip cheerio and all that, and he responded to me. And then I responded, he responded back, and I subscribed to, well, I had already subscribed to his channel because I saw several of his his travel videos. I was still making how to edit videos. I hadn't decided to go rock and roll. That's a story we'll talk a little bit about in a future stream, right? But Royce has been there from the very beginning. He supported me from the very beginning.
Love you, brother.
And all right, thank you, Royce.
Yep.
Uh, and he's always welcomed me over on his stream, and he lets me open my big mouth, and it doesn't try to curtail me too much. And that's Nick's job. But anyway, uh, and I've learned to kind of pull back a bit than I used to be. Royce and I, we had this one moment there where we were getting a lot of silence on the panel, and so I started purposely punching it up and inserting, and me, I can talk for hours up here, right? And so we kind of got that going, but then we started getting people in to have a lot to say, and it's been difficult for me to kind of okay, just back off and everything. I'm getting better at that, right? And we also have back the original co-host for Royce in the House, Dan McNew, who gave us a super thanks. And as far as I'm concerned, Dan's like a brother too. So is Nick. Young Chris over there, and uh, why am I not going to think of it? Rampage Video Dawson are like younger brothers to me, and we're going to be talking about something so cool tonight and something I have a lot to say about. All of my longtime viewers know I've been covering this story for a long time. And I've covered the Guess Who in general. I've covered the Guess Who not being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I've covered Bachman Turner Overdrive not being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've covered how Randy Bachman uh, uh, went to battle with the fake Guess Who, and I've covered the fake Guess Who. I've covered the real Guess Who. I've Guess Who'd more Who's than I can think of. And tonight we're going to be talking about the Guess Who and the whole story. I think that's what Royce has got in mind. So right down my alley, brother. I appreciate it. So anyway, some of these people I just mentioned, right, that show up, you guys are like the custodians of this channel. I have a feeling one of you took out a certain individual today because of the very negative comment. All right. And I appreciate that. That's why I just, as a matter of fact, I meant to mention this too. Tim Henry of Music Life, I made you a moderator, and he's already acknowledged that and said, thank you, Michael. That's why you see a wrench next to his name. You see a wrench next to anybody's name. These are people I've got to know, got to have known. I've never met any of them. I only know them by their word on the internet. It's a trust thing. And I trust these individuals to watch my back, because we have had in the past trolls here. Most of that's gone by the wayside, and I appreciate all of you guys' wonderful help tonight. All right, so now let's get actually this is a good time to get to you guys, because we've only got an hour tonight. Boy, I was worried that this uh, particular subject wouldn't be worth even an hour stream, because I'd already covered so much of it, but it gave me a chance to also be a little more even-handed with Bruce on this one, because I really came unglued with Bruce when I read that one thing on my last stream. I got pissed, as you guys know. And maybe it was that that upset Richard. And if it was that wasn't me at my purtiest, Richard. All right, it came from the heart. In case you're out there just lurking, right? And it was me in response, and it was an extremely long tour stream. I was going 2.5 hours that day and covered so many articles. This is last Thursday, right? And my anger was there, and I really gave Bruce a 1 too. But I hope tonight I've let everybody know that I'm also a major Bruce Springsteen fan, and I hope the man wakes up. He's being, to me, I just hope he wakes up to the fact that, because I feel in the long term, this may not serve him well. And maybe he just doesn't care. But he talks about caring about America, and he talks about loving America. And I don't doubt that by him. But if we're not careful, we could be in a world of hurt here in our own country. We've got to keep our heads, folks. All right. If you don't like a Christian group showing up at your park because you identify that park to identify a certain lifestyle, protest. But don't throw rocks and bottles at them and at the police there. Okay. Protest. But violence begets violence every single damn time. I'm tired of watching cities burn, right? And I'd like to see a united country. And I'd like to see the government get back to being both benevolent and sensible at the same time. If you want my politics, that's where it is. I love programs that help people out. But I also know enough about those programs. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I was in one of those programs. I was able to go to college to get my medical license, become a nurse, a psych nurse, and it was my second shot at life. Without one of those programs, I'm certain that I would have been dead within 6 months because I was drinking myself to death. All right. So, but the program produced me. But at the same time, I also saw holes in the program and I saw people using the program and a lot of money, good money going after bad. All right. As a matter of fact, when I went to my counselor and asked, I want to study to become a psych nurse. All right. She said, we don't put recovering alcoholics in that program because there's a high dropout rate with alcoholics in that program. And I had to prove to her, I had to take pre courses and everything that I was dead serious. And she took a chance on me. And her name was Lorraine. Lorraine, if you're out there, you know who I am. You gave me a second chance in life. And that was from a more left wing program. All right. I just asked that we get a return for our money. That's all I'm asking. And if you want to support the arts through the government, I'm dead set against it. And I'm an artist. Patreon support artists, and that is the history of it, right? It may be people like Bruce Springsteen and Bono and, McCartney. Instead of bottlenecking the industry where nobody's getting the headliners, start bringing on bands that and then really seriously promote the hell out of them. Bring them up for part of your show. Do something positive in rock and roll. Bruce says that he's using the arts and rock and roll for his fight. I say the arts and rock and roll, being one of them, should inspire the man or the woman inside each one of us. It should reach out from its workings to us and make us want to whatever, right? This is the kind of stuff I grew up with rock and roll. Lyrics by Roger Waters that molded me. Some of those lyrics from Dark Side of the Moon, everybody thinks of the sonic masterpiece it is. Listen to the lyrics. All right. How time waits for no one. Mental illness can be a state of mind. Right. And eerily on that album, money rears its ugly head, doesn't it? That's sad. All right, it's 6 o'clock. I didn't get to you guys, but I will take time and get a hold of you in my next stream. I want to thank each and every one of you who gave us super thanks. I'm serious about this. I got up today. I thought of canceling this stream several times because I wasn't enough. I'll spend the rest of the night after I'm done on Royce catching up on my notes for becoming Led Zeppelin. And so I knew I didn't have enough material to do that. But I had already changed it here. I saw there was some dissension in the comments. Prick me, do I not bleed? Right? Especially, Richard had been with us for quite some time, and I'm sad to see Richard go. But I thought about it. I thought maybe I should just take Sunday off. And Kimberly and I were going round and round and round about it. Maybe if I took this tack or I took that tack with this seems to be a sensitive issue. And the more I thought about it, the more I went, well, wait a minute. Then if I back down now, then what's next? I can't criticize Don Henley for lip syncing, right? And there's things that are happening in rock and roll, and this channel is a steward of that. And what was it that Toki O'Brien used? When you're in a museum And you are a curator, a curator. You know, this channel is a
Oh,
curator. I saw that.
just gave you a super
I'm going to
thanks.
get to you, Ben. Thank
Oh,
you.
so nice. Thank you
You know
so
what I
much,
feel about you,
Ben.
Ben. You know that.
Oh,
Um, I want this channel to be a curator of rock. That means keeping it alive. If indeed its heyday is gone, then let's send it off to its next generational thing where it is one of several uh, cultures of music that people listen to in general. And hip hop will be on top for another 20 years, and then something will take its place. And maybe rock and roll has gotten to that point, but historically, nothing can top this. It would take half a century for anything until they could claim they took over rock and roll, because rock and roll ruled the universe for 50 freaking years, and according to some, 55 years. They claim 2010 was the year that rock and roll was the last year that rock and roll was a significant and listened to slightly more than hip hop or rap. Okay, so if we're there, then we accept it. But now we curate it. Have the pyramids of Egypt lost their allure? No. And now we can study it, right? But at the same time, let's get it a good send off, whether there will hopefully be a revival or sensibly, come on, Michael, there never will be another revival. Then that's fine. Let's take it from there. Because you know what? It will continue to get fans. It continues to get new, younger fans. And even the latest younger fans are getting very interested in it. Isn't that strange? This new latter teenagers, early 20 group of people, a lot of them are quite different than the group that grew up with my youngest daughter, who's now 25 years old. And her and my politics are nowhere near the same. But anytime we get into a discussion and, you know, heat comes up, I always tell her, and my wife can concur with this, family over politics. Knock this shit off.
absolutely.
We stop talking about this now. And we start saying we love one another, because my entire world is my family, then my friends, then my community, then my county, my state, my country, my planet. Sorry, there's a hierarchy of needs, Maslow, and not Norman. I wasn't talking to you, Norman. Norman probably doesn't agree with a damn thing I ever say. That's fine. He has a right. Okay, Ben Scheidegger comes in with $10 just at the last minute. Ben, thank you. I tell you, I was low today, and I wanted to get to your, but you know what? I was a few minutes late up here, Ben, and the reason I was is I was reading your comments. I was amazed with you guys were very nice to Richard. I'm so glad you guys were gentle with him, wishing him well, right? If we can't continue in a relationship, there's no reason to go out. Yeah, my ex, she's like the werewolf, or something like that. It's ridiculous. So my again, I'll say this to you, Richard Bueller. You were with me quite a while, and I do appreciate it. My hopes and prayers go out to you. You're facing a tough time in your life, and I can understand why you want to focus on the positive. I truly can. And if you're lurking, you don't have to tell anybody. But tomorrow, we're going to be handling a very positive stream for once. Ben Scheidegger says, imagine going to a public restaurant whose owner, who didn't align with your politics and served you crap in exchange for a high ticket price, then kicked you out for complaining. Yeah, well, and that's actually kind of happens. I've seen videos very similar to that, Ben. Yeah. Oh, and that's another thing. I didn't even get a chance to talk about. Um, uh, and I'll mention that we're running a little over, but that's okay. I'll catch up with Royce real quick here. Uh, but I could have covered the story of the Bruce Springsteen tribute band. I think it's in Jersey, who was fired from the venue they were playing because the venue said that because of Bruce Springsteen's mouth and what he's been saying, that they don't want to be associated with his music even. And so they fired them, that tribute band, top tribute band, making damn good money. Bruce Springsteen has put them out of work. Okay. And see, this is insightful. His language is insightful, one way or another. The question is he going overboard? Some of you think he hasn't said enough. Some of you think he should have shut up, yesterday. And some of you think somewhere in between, right? I don't doubt the man's sincerity, but I doubt the man's ability to be able to go and grab that every man in him that he once had. It's such a minority of him. He hasn't experienced hunger. He hasn't experienced robbing Paul to pay Peter to get the rent out. Monday night's child is out the shoelace or whatever, that Lady Madonna thing. That we got the things that most of us have to do. He's never in the last 2/3 of his life ever had to want for anything. Never had to say, sorry, Michael, I can't give you a super thing. I'm buying a synthesizer, right? He's never had to say that. That's not part of his reality. And he doesn't even have to make a choice between a Lamborghini and a Maserati. I'll take them both. And that, and that, and that, and that, right? He preaches all this stuff and leaves a carbon footprint that his side doesn't believe in. There are some things that don't add up here, right? But either way, my final message is let's survive this, tribe, all right? And let's not lose our ability to have a dialogue, to listen to someone and say, I think Noland's right off his head. He's a lunatic. But he does a good presentation here, so I'll watch him there. There are content creators I watch that I agree with about 1/4 of what they say, but they offer something of a quality, and the 1/4 that I do agree with is worth the payoff. They don't have to agree with me for me to like somebody. All right. But it seems like we're getting there, folks, where people are going, you're in one camp or another, you're either a commie, dirty bastard, or you're a king, a despot, a Hitler. And it's like, dun, dun, dun. Come on, we've already had one civil war. We don't need any more of this shit. All right, we've come too far, baby. Let's just grab our common senses and agree to meet somewhere in the middle. You give a little, I'll give a little, negotiate a little. Let's see if we can make some people on both sides happy, or at least contented enough to go along with the plan, Stan. All right. This is probably the second longest I've ever gone. By the time I wrap this up, it'll be the longest I've ever gone on a Sunday night. I love each and every one of you. Thanks for putting up with me. I had to almost gear myself up to be in a good mood tonight because it does affect me if I feel like I'm letting any of you people down. I'm not trying to, honest to God, but I can't stop saying what I'm going to say, and I'm just going to keep doing that. That's the hard truth of the matter. All right, I hope you all enjoy it. Join us over at Royce. Royce, thanks for supporting me. Thanks for all the people I mentioned before. If I didn't get to you, Django Thunders, I see. Nestor, I saw you from the beginning, buddy, and I meant to type something in. I got pulled over to the other side of the room. You were there early. Thank you. Long time commenter. All right, and if I missed anybody, we'll catch you tomorrow. Tomorrow at 5 o'clock, where we dissect becoming Led Zeppelin. All right, I'll see you guys in about 20. Good Lord. Let's try 18 minutes on Royce in the House. All right? Royce in the House. If you don't know the channel, type it in. ROYCE in the house. Click on that sucker, subscribe to him, hit that notification bell, and we'll all be talking to Guess Who here in just a few moments. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And I'll see you tomorrow night at 5. Good night.